Okay, so let's continue talking about this mnemonics strategy. So in last video, we said here is a task. You got to remember the 5 Great Lakes names from in the order from the west to the east. So here we have Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erin, and Ontario. It's a little bit hard to memorize these names, especially in this particular order. So here this mnemonics tactic comes in. So we're gonna obtain this first letter in each word, and then put it into a different sentence, like Superman helps everyone. So this Superman helps everyone is easier to memorize, and this is the mnemonics strategy, helping us to memorize things in an easy way. So in other words, we are creating a new pattern, facilitate or assisting us memorize the information. Okay, the last thing I want to cover for this listening topic is several types of non-listening. What is non-listening? That is, sometimes when we are in a conversation, we are actually not really listening. We are being distracted, we are thinking something else, etc. So let's take a look at what types of non-listening we could have. And remember, this non-listening is not a good thing. We want to avoid that. So the first type of non-listening is something called pseudo-listening. As you can tell from the name, this pseudo-listening refers to the situation where you pretend you are listening, but actually you are being distracted, you are thinking something else. You don't really put effort into thinking, listening, and processing that information. So I don't think I need to explain more about this non-listening, but I prepare a video example below. So please click this video below and take a look at this media example. This illustrates really well what is pseudo-listening, and then come back to our lecture. Okay, welcome back. And this is the second type of non-listening. We call it literal listening. That is the situation where you only focus on the content, literally focus on the content while ignoring the relationship or failing to detect the other person's communication goals. So we have said that the goals are cognitive in nature, so we cannot directly observe others' goals, others' communication goals. So what we can do is to try to figure out, try to detect others' communication goals. However, for some people, they are really kind of a little bit nerdy, so they would just focus on the content, the literal content of the communication, whereas ignoring the other person's real communication goals. So here I have a media example from the Big Bang Theory. Let's take a look at this video and you will have a better understanding of this literal listening. So please click the second movie example below. Okay, welcome back. So we can see that in this conversation, Penny, she was apparently seeking for emotional support. She was seeking for comfort. So the way she was seeking for support was to complain, was to, asking questions. Whereas Sheldon, instead of, giving her comfort, Sheldon literally answered all her technical questions, whereas ignoring or failing to detect her real goals. So we can see that in this conversation, Sheldon was engaged in this literal listening. So he was just focused on this literal meaning of the conversation, whereas ignoring the context or the other person's communication goals. And the third type of non-listening, we call it selective listening. That is, for this whole conversation, I don't pay attention to all the information in this conversation. I only selectively pay attention to the information which interests me. Okay. I don't have a media example here for you guys for this selective listening, but I'm pretty sure all of us have engaged in this type of non-listening from time to time in our life, especially when we're little kids. And here I have this comic as an example. So we can see that when the parents were asking the kids to go to sleep, they chose to ignore it. But when the parents whispered about the chocolate bar, even in a very low volume, and this immediately caught the kids' attention. So this is an example of this selective listening. The first one, we call it monopolizing. That is, people continuously focusing communication on themselves instead of listening to the communication partner. So lots of people, they want to be heard, but they feel really reluctant to listen to other people. And when you have a conversation with this kind of people, you would feel like they want this communication. They want this conversation to be all about them. So they're quite like really ego, really self-centered. And here I have a video example from the Big Bang Theory. It's a conversation between Leonard and Sheldon. Let's take a look at this video and come back to our lecture. Okay, welcome back. So you can see that these two people, they are discussing, they are kind of telling each other about something bothering them. And they want some help, they want some advice from each other, but each of them would just focus on their own topic. And they feel reluctant to provide advice for the other person. They all want to be listened, but they don't want to listen to other people. So here, this is an example of this monopolizing situation. The fifth one, something called ambushing. That is, we have this conversation. Well, I'm listening to you. I don't really want to kind of hear what you think, how you feel. I just listen because I want to attack you. Okay, that is ambushing. And this behavior is really common in political debate. So I prepared a video clip. Actually, it's a political debate to show you this ambushing behavior. So take a look at this video and come back to the lecture. Okay, we can see that this one politician is listening very carefully to the other person. But the only purpose he was listening was to attack the other person, the other politician. Okay, that is the fifth type of non-listening. Let's move to the last one, defensive listening. That is, when people talk about something in general, this type of listeners, they would take it seriously, and they would be too sensitive. They would be so sensitive, and they would take it personal. So, for example, in a party, someone was just commenting like, I don't like fake people, but I'm a sensitive listener, so I would take it as a personal attack. So I would mistakenly thought that this person was referring to me. So this is a defensive listening. So people generally would take the innocent comments as some personal attack towards them. I'm sorry, I don't have a video example for this one, but I think it's pretty easy to understand. But if you are aware of any media example for this defensive listening, please let me know. I'll add it into my lecture for later use. So this is the topic of listening, and we've discussed the several steps of listening. We talk about several forms of non-listening we want to avoid if we want to be a good communicator. So that's all I have for today, and I'll see you guys when we talk about emotions in next lecture.